After a night's rest, Zephron's memory had become a little clearer, but his body was still weak, recovering from the plague. Kator and Jack had a much less restful night, for they were beset by prophetic nightmares. Kator dreamt of the ancient glade near his home village of Ola Kem. The old familiar trees surrounded him as they did in his childhood. A blinding flash of one of his compatriots, but not one of his companions, dying at the hands of a vampire. One of the trees burst alight in the glade. Another flash, Kaitor sees himself strapped to a steel bed in the white building, spewing red vapors from his mouth and nose, while his friends succumb to the red spores. Another tree lights a flame. The fire does not spread, but consumes the singular tree entirely, leaving nothing but ash. Kator looks around and sees 6 trees remaining and hears a voice, "Only a few are left," between salvation and ruin. Carter rubs his eyes and looks at Jack, who has similar dark bags under his eyes. He was haunted by nightmares of chess pieces falling and crumbling to dust. The others notice this, and the 2 men explain their prophetic visions.
It was us, but it was not us. It makes sense now. It all makes sense now. Don't you see?
Kator reflects, his eyes widening.
The trees and the chess pieces, each one represents a timeline. Each one holds a team of 7 pilgrims. So many have failed. There are only 6 left. I know you don't remember the sewers under Rotidido, at least not the same way Jack and I do. But we died there. We all did. Krug, Tilly, Thok, Silenfi. We all drowned from the current of the broken storm drain that sucked us down below water. The gods giving Wethra the strength to walk on water and haul us all up together. That wasn't what happened. Not really. That's just what we thought happened. What really happened was we drowned there and died. There was a different group of pilgrims that slipped in the water, but the current wasn't too strong. They weren't in danger of drowning. Wethra picked them up, and when she did, Jack and I had our minds put into those bodies.
The ranger falls silent and the pilgrims stare around with concern on their faces. Then Zephron interjects with his thoughts. The pilgrims asked Zephron many questions about his experiences, the plague, interplanar travel, and the mysterious white building. He told them that the plague was not unique to this plane, that it is still ongoing in other planes, and the little droplets and residue from the bottle that had cured them would be one of the key components Alec Azam would need to cure the plague on the other worlds. When asked about his capture, Zephron mentioned that he was injected with fluids from steel rods, and he thinks that is how he got infected with the plague. After the pilgrims mentioned the portals, Zephron said that is a very dangerous method to travel between planes.
If you take your body with you, then you are not tethered to your home plane anymore, and you could get lost. When I travel, I send my mind to other planes, other worlds, and it is connected back to my body in this plane by a silver cord of energy. It is a magical line that only very powerful and magically sensitive beings can see. I stay far away from them because they have the power to break it. And if they did, my mind would have no method to return to my body.
It would be deadly, because without your mind, your body would waste away and die. So if your magical tether is broken, you are on a timer to get back to your body.
Ask the pilgrims.
Yes, but more than that, without the tether, your mind has no method to re-enter your body. You would need a powerful magic user near your body with the skills and materials necessary to reconnect your mind and body.
Zephron explained,
I think that helps explain it.
says Kator.
The alternate timelines function sort of like the different planes. My mind is tethered to 6 of them instead of the usual 1. The same for Jack. But we used to be tethered to a lot more, hundreds maybe. But they all failed.
I need to rest. I need to return to my hoard to see if it is still there.
Says Zephron, sensing the pilgrims' eagerness to continue their quest.
Where is your hoard?
Ha!
Zephron barked.
Nice try. It is far away. I'll probably need to sleep for 20 years to have the strength to get to it. I can take you a day's flight closer to Azam before I find a safe place to sleep.
Thank you. We are grateful for your help.
While in the air, Cornelius sang a tune. The relaxing melody soothed Zephron and allowed him to glide farther than expected. They landed a few miles away from a small town, and Zephron settled down for another night. His sleep was deep, so deep in fact, that he did not wake to the sounds of battle. Shambling mounds of vines and bone and flesh had come across the pilgrims in the night. Husks barely clinging on to life, these were once druids who sent their minds off to journey the other planes, but their silver tether had been cut, and their druidic powers used the body and plant material like a puppet, trying to consume souls to restore themselves. The pilgrims fought bravely, blasting vines away from the mounds and exploding one of them with a lightning bolt, but to no avail. Soon they were surrounded, and several of them were being crushed to death by the vines. Their flesh and armor rotted when the mounds took hold of them, and they could not escape. Kator's ribcage shatters, and blood gushes out of his mouth and sides. He looks in the distance as his vision fades, and sees Elsa buried under constricting vines. Worm lying broken on the grass, Nyx and Dobby being chewed and swallowed by the bones that acted as the teeth of the shambling mounds. In the darkness, another tree bursts into flame, and another chess piece becomes powder. Kator and Jack wake up, groggy and exhausted. They see the others are going about breakfast as if nothing had happened. Kator asks Jack,
Which pieces are left?
2 pawns, a rook, and a king.
Jack says mournfully,
We weren't the only ones to fail last night. There are only 4 trees now. We can't afford to fail again.
says Kator determinedly. They look around and see farmland and smell a faint whiff of salt water in the air. Still distant, but much closer than they remember. Nyx wakes as a wolf, the words, "Free the red," "Free the blood" echoing in his head, and his pillow half shredded in his mouth. The druid turns back into a gnome, and the others ask if anything is wrong. Nyx explains the dream, and says how Robin was there too, as a wolf. After Kator explains his realization about how his mind is linked to 4 bodies, Dobby says,
You are a temporal constant, as is Jack.
Nyx remembers the fight last night, and the death. Cornelius remembers, Elsa remembers. Contemplating this, they set out towards the city of Rapido on the coast. Before long, they arrive at the gates of the walled city and are greeted by guards wearing a symbol with a lion, a lightning bolt, and a wand, saying, Guten Tag, welcome to Rapido. You'll have to register if you're a magic user. Each of the pilgrims is taken in turn to an examination room, where they are asked to cast a simple, harmless spell on a piece of paper. Afterwards, they are given a unique identifier, a magical fingerprint called their Diablora Neotechnical Rating. Kator 77,265, Nyx 94,774, Jack 00061, Cornelius 37,050. These fingerprints are usually unique, but the guards admit that 1 or 2 in 4 million could have the same fingerprint,
You're Jack Spriggard.
says Carol Grafk, one of the mage guards.
Yes, how do you know who I am?
Everyone knows Jack Spriggard, P.I. You're famous. We actually need your help. There's been a murder, and we need you to help investigate.
Who was killed?
Asks Jack.
Don't say Alec, don't say Alec, don't say Alec.
Kator mutters in the background,
Lord Waldy Reinhold, the Earl of Rapido.
answers Carol.
Do you have any leads?
Asks Jack.
Actually, there was a speedy trial yesterday. Alec Azam was convicted and is awaiting execution tomorrow night. We need you to prove his innocence and save him.
Shocked, the pilgrims asked more about the Earl and the murder, finding out the Earl had no magical ability and was murdered by something that looked magical, while he was inside an anti-magic sphere. The type of magic that killed him couldn't be identified, and the court records have been sealed. The guards are all suspicious about the evidence, or lack thereof. Before his arrest, Alec was working on a high-energy wave theory experiment for the college. The entire town rests 100 feet above a massive chaos crystal, which makes high-level spells backfire with deadly results, and makes low-level spells have unpredictable behavior except by the most disciplined and practiced mages.
Jack, you've been cleared to use any and all magic spells, including Deadly Force. The rest of you will have to pay for a permit to travel the city, and use of magic above apprentice level costs extra.
Kator pays the guards for apprentice-level permits for the pilgrims, smiling at how little money remains in their coffers, remembering the massive bags of platinum stolen by the forest creatures so many weeks ago. Cornelius heads to the college to read and sleep, while the others head to the scene of the crime. They find a bed with a charred hole through the pillow that goes through the bed frame and carpet as well. Some of the stone floor is melted at the location of the carpet hole. They try to position themselves to line up the holes, but it seems like they would need to be 8 feet tall or standing on the foot of the bed.
It doesn't make any sense. How could he have been killed by magic inside an anti-magic field? It's still active, I can feel it. And the guards say it has been working for years?
Postulates Jack.
What could singe the pillow like that without lighting it on fire other than magic?
Asks Elsa.
What's above this room?
Affard Beckett's room. He's the consultant of the late Earl and has been loyal for years but was recently let go. If you need to talk to him, he's downstairs with a number of other key people.
Says Hartmint. The pilgrims investigate Affard's room first, finding a journal confessing his love for the Earl, a nude portrait of the Earl, and letters from his half-sister Brunhilde. Brunhilde wrote to Affard that the bar she worked at burned down, and all her worldly possessions are gone, and she needs help to move to Rapido. Affard's journal mentions this, saying, "I can't let his lordship know. She was born out of wedlock, and having her known to be related to me could besmirch his lordship's reputation." Another entry says, "That damn priest told Waldy about my sister, and now my position is in jeopardy. I wonder, does Waldy love this man like he loved me?" While Jack read the letters, Cater noticed a draft coming from the corner of the room. Elsa examines it and opens the master-crafted stone door. It swings silently, and Elsa takes a moment to admire the complex system of springs and pulleys.
This is amazing craftsmanship. I have to take notes.
Behind the door is a cast-iron spiral staircase, leading down to a narrow corridor behind the Earl's fireplace. The pilgrims see footprints in the ashes of the fireplace, but they are several days older than the day of the murder. They were merely evidence of a late-night visit between the lovers. Under the bed, the pilgrims find a strange metal can with a round cap on one end. It seems to match the impact crater in the stone floor.
How did the guards miss this? It's like they didn't even check the scene of the crime.
Downstairs, Cator speaks with Winnemere, the house aura that has served the past 2 Earls, as well as the lineup of potential witnesses, chambermaids Hyvig Bond and Svondild, High Priest Jonathan Smith, who served in the Marine Navy with Affard, and the late Earl, Altvindes Beckett, dwarf captain of the guard, Alfhard Beckett himself, and High Vizier Eldengar Blunsker. They all have similar stories about a dark cloaked figure that visited the Earl a week ago and returned several times afterwards, always in shadows, never lowering his hood or revealing his face. The Vizier recounts a petition from Alec to get access to the Chaos Crystal.
At the bar, after we denied him access, he was screaming about how everyone would die if he didn't get to the crystal. Clearly a threat, and we see he followed through on it, at least for the Earl. Luckily, the Brute Squad got him locked up before he could kill again.
I think there was some miscommunication. Your quote of Alec's rantings sounds like he was trying to warn everyone that some external force would cause death and destruction, and that he would be able to prevent it if he could get to the crystal. I've heard similar expressions in the heat of battle as an adventurer.
Says Cator.
I don't expect some country bumpkin like you to understand civilized society. Alec is clearly a terrorist, and his words were a clear threat to the city.
Says the Vizier. Before the Pilgrim Ranger can respond, a dwarven fist shoots out at crotch level, connecting with the Vizier and launching him across the room.
Do not insult my friends.
Shouts Elsa. The chambermaids flee and Altvindes calls for guards to arrest her. In the commotion, while Jonathan Smith checks the Vizier for injuries, Cator leans in close to Elsa's ear and says,
Go peacefully. See if you can find a way out through the stonework, for you and Alec.
As Cator leans away and takes a step back, Altvindes returns his gaze to the assailant, and 4 guards march through the door, aggressively grabbing Elsa's arms and twisting them behind her back. They lift her up and carry her down to the prison cells, leaving her in the first empty cell they see, the one immediately beside Alec's cell. Along the trip, Elsa sings, feigning drunkenness, Alec furiously typing away at the beeping crystals on the strange book Jack had taken from the White Building, relents at the noise, complaining that he cannot concentrate on his work. Once the guards leave the singing drunk alone, Elsa examines the wall, finds the keystone that supports all the weight, thinks to herself, I definitely don't want to move that one, then slips and leans her weight against it. The stone plops out and lands in Alec's cell, and the whole wall crumbles, including the section between his bar doors and hers. She regains her balance and nonchalantly walks over the rubble into the hallway. Jack grabs Alec and brings him along, then says,
Take him and punch me. You have to knock me out.
Without questioning his wisdom, Elsa knocks out the magical PI, grabs Alec by the shirt, and runs upstairs to the courtyard. Kator and Nyx catch them in the hallway, and they agree to hide out in the slums. Kator runs downstairs to leave a cryptic note for Jack, but as he pens it, heavy armored footsteps begin descending the stairs. He shoves the note in Jack's pocket and buries himself in the debris of rocks and mortar dust to hide. The guards shout.
The prisoners have escaped. The assassin and the drunk are on the loose.
All but Hartmint rush back upstairs and begin ringing alarm bells. Hartmint looks at a patch of dust-covered flesh under the rubble, noticed it is not bruised or bloody, winks, then casually walks upstairs. When the footsteps fade, Kator gets up, dusts himself off, and rushes to the slums, picking up Hartmint on the way. Elsa, Alec, and Nyx arrive in an abandoned shack in the slums, and Alec untangles his black vines, attaching them to the strange book as if he were a druid trying to bring a plant back to life. The glow on the crystals brightens, and he smiles.
Yes, it works.